So this car was involved in a wheel versus tree collision. It did mess up the wheel. It broke it off at the ball joint and broke the tie rod in, so we had to replace that stuff. You can see the body damage. There's very minimal body damage. It barely hit the body, but the impact did set off both the front airbags. This video is about how to replace the passenger airbag. I couldn't find any videos online how to do that. Just as an FYI, once you disconnect the battery, you're going to lose the security code in your radio, and your radio is going to get locked if it still has one of these original radios in it. So on this element at least, they luckily placed a radio code on the left side of the glove box, and just take note, you're going to need that 5-digit number on the top to get your radio working again after you take the power off. First thing you want to do, get down here, pop the hood so we can disconnect the battery. Once you're under the hood, disconnect the battery. It's 10 millimeters. Almost everything on this car is 10 millimeters. It seems like. Don't forget, this is going to lock the factory radio. Make sure it's up out of the way. Give it a little while and then you're good to go. Here's the blown passenger airbag unit that I'm going to be replacing. Here's the one that is in the car that I'm going to be replacing. The only difference is this one's black and I wanted a gray one to match the interior. Also, the one I got to replace this is probably in a little bit better condition. This one came out of the U-Pull-It. To get to the connector for the airbag harness, you're going to have to take this glove box and let it drop down. It is held in place by clips up in here and right here. And these have a little pinch. If you pinch the other side, it will pull in and then it will just drop out and this door will drop down. Okay, you can see now, hopefully I've pushed the clip in and it will come out. We gotta do it on both sides and then this glove box is gonna drop. You'll see the stop. You can wiggle it out. Then once you do that on both sides, we'll just drop on down. There are the clips. Glove box is dropped. Now you want to look up under here and see that yellow cable. That is connecting the airbags. So we're going to pull that down. That connector right there is the one that you want to disconnect. These connectors can be kind of a pain, I've found. So what you want to do is you want to get in here and then push this all the way down. And then you can pull that apart and you're good to go. That completely disconnects the airbag. Next thing you need to do is take this trim piece off right here. There's a screw here and a screw over here. This Phillips head, take those off. Once you have the screws out, you should be able to just pop this panel off. Just pull it. And then work the AC vent out. And it's out of the way. Next, you have to take this trim piece off. Take all these screws out here to take the airbag out. You'll need this trim piece off because there's 3 bolts under here we have to get to. So I'm going to take all these screws out. Remember, the ones with the washers go on top. Missed one screw. Should allow this trim piece to come right out. What you're going to be looking for, 3 bolts right in here. See those 3 bolts, 10 millimeters. Take those off and then we'll pull the airbag out of the top. Have to do one other thing, that's pull this trim piece off with a little speaker in it right there. It literally just snaps in place, so we can just pull it off. Now we're going to take this trim piece off right here. I find it easiest to start up here at the top and it will generally just pop out. Pop. One wire to disconnect right here. I'm not even sure how it connects. I'm going to figure that out. It's not hard. Okay, you just squeeze it from the bottom right here. and it will come apart. Let's get it out of the way. All right, going for the bolts. One. Number two. These have some Loctite on them, so they're a little bit stiff. Number three. And I dropped that one. I don't know where it went. And I did have some spares. I'm gonna have to find it. Oh, look at that. Had the glove box closed, went right into the glove box. At this point, it should look like this. All these screws are out across the top. 3 bolts are out down here. Trim's out of the way. Should be able to just lift this thing right out of here. Loose. I'm gonna put the camera down. Here we go. Gonna lift it from the front. Just pull her up and out. Here comes the connector and everything. Completely out. Alright. Here's the new unit. Feed cable down in there. Just kind of sets in place. Make sure this guy's up out of the way. Now what we're going to do is make sure that we can get the cable. Here it is right here. So the guy left the old plug in it, so we're going to pull that out. It's going to plug in right there. This is pretty much in place. Put it down flush. There we go. A little whack. There you go. Now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and screw this thing back in. I'll reinstall the trim piece right here. Bolt up the 3 bolts. Connect the connector. Reinstall the glove box. Snap the trim panel back on there, and it will be done. Okay, we've got the trim panel, and you can see that hole right. Where'd it go? Right there. Right there. It's kind of hard to see because it's so dark. Snaps into. There's a snap here. A snap here. The only trick is getting it behind this rubber piece right here. And what I typically do is get it started at the bottom and use a scraper like this just to slide it up and inside there. There she is, all snapped in place. Good to go. Reinstall the 3 bolts, hold it in place. All done reinstalling those 3 retaining nuts. Reinstalled this trim retaining cover. Secure the airbag back down with front retaining screws. AC duct with the trim. Just kind of fit it in there. It'll only go one way. There we go. And just snap that back in place. 2 little retaining screws on the bottom of that. It's time to reinstall these little widgets that hold the glove box in place. There's the widget. There's the hole it goes into. I'll put that in there so you can see. But basically you have to have the glove box up at about this position when you do it. Otherwise it's hard to get it around the retainer edge here and here. And I do still have to connect these wires, so I'll do that now. Okay, she's all connected. So hopefully when we give it juice, nothing happens. This is what the glove box retainer looks like when it's installed. As you can see, it hits right there, so you have to install it when the glove box is partially closed. this battery hooked back up. After we do this, once we do the ignition, turn it on, we'll just have to reset that radio code. Remember, the code was on the left-hand side of the glove box on the sticker. So check for that code before you kill your power. Let's make sure nothing bad happens. Turn the car on. Radio's asking for the code. I think I remembered the last time I put some digits in, so I'm going to try this again. And there we go, and the radio's back. And the dash is intact, just like we wanted. All the retainers are back, the trim's back on. Everything's done. Airbag has been replaced. Remember, this doesn't do anything for the Airbag computer, and all this information is FYI only. I am not a mechanic, and I am not trained in working on Honda vehicles or airbags.